So, will more weapons be added in the future? If so, will they have roughly the same DPS or will they be harder to get and have higher damage?
I'll be right back.
Okay. I know this is your baby.
Yeah.
He's back.
No, we're not adding any more weapons ever.
You heard it here, guys. No more weapons, period. We're done. It's it. You got
Stop
AMCs.
asking.
They're getting rid of all the
We're removing
missiles,
all weapons
and that's
from the
it.
game. It's going to be a sandbox. No, there's we did announce the weapon update, but this has been a while ago, and there's been lots of new people and people that have come back that haven't seen it because it got buried
Hold on
in
one
the
second,
news.
Cal. I'm sorry. It looks like my stream may have gone down, so we're gonna...
It's back up, mate. Don't worry.
Alright.
It did drop out for about 20 seconds, but it's back now.
All right. Well, we were mostly just joking around, so nobody missed anything important. I haven't answered the question yet. We're on whether or not there'll be more weapons in the future, how much DPS they'll have, and how hard the weapons will be to get. Right?
That's the one.
All right. The weapon update is going to add 2 new block types: the beam weapon, which is a laser, and the mine layer, which is going to act somewhat like a missile launcher, but without it being propelled anywhere. It'll drop, sneaky little mines that if you run into, you blow up.
Very nice.
The missile blocks, as I will also be all condensed into one block type, so it is just a missile block, and its behavior will either be based on a setting, an ammo type. If we add in ammo, that's still something that's in the air, or the missile type will be based on the combination that's chosen. So say like the sniper missile might be a bunker buster, whereas the swarm missile might always be heat seekers. We haven't really decided which of these 3 options we're going to get, so it'll be one of those. But you'll still have more than one type of missile. It won't just be dumb missiles. There's going to be currently, what we're going to introduce first is you'll have the 5 weapon blocks and 25 combinations of the same block. So you have 30 different, functionally different weapons. The system's also modular in a way that allows future editions of more block types or more block types to be added by modders or us. And there's lots of exciting block type possibilities using just the existing blocks we already have in the game. So we have looked at, like what happens if you link a cannon to a shield, things like that. I went and picked out every single system block that we have, and I put them up in a possible list or graph of interactions that we could have. So far, the only confirmed ones are the 5 weapon blocks combined with themselves. As for the damage, the DPS isn't set in stone right now, and that's because this is a good opportunity for us to balance our offense and defense, and the DPS and the defense numbers will likely fluctuate based on community input as we start testing these.
Very eloquently answered. I've already seen it about 100 times on the chat. I mean...
I do
sorry. Schema wants me to explain the basic system of what the combinations actually
Sounds good.
What it comes down to is your weapon systems as they are now will continue to function as they do now. Nothing should be breaking on your ship. What will happen is when the update comes out, the 2 new block types will be added. You can place those in your ship. Now you'll be able to select the controlling computer for one system, and you'll be able to set it as a master. Then you can select another weapon computer and link it to the first computer, right? So just like you select a computer and then add a weapon block to it, you could do the same thing. You could select the weapon computer and add a slave computer to it. What that will do is it takes secondary effects that are associated with blocks that don't normally do anything on their own. They aren't figured into the system when it's being used solo. So you would link that slave system its secondary effects now benefit the master system, and the slay system is disabled. It's no longer a functioning weapon system. You can't shoot it anymore. All it's doing is adding a miss to the primary system. That primary system will have the number of blocks in each system will affect the bonus that you have, so you won't be able to have one cannon block and add a million laser blocks and make that cannon block overpowered. What you're going to have is a cannon block that's slightly better than what it would have been before. You have to balance out your systems, making them ridiculous one way or the other, balance wise between the system sizes is not going to be beneficial to you.
But you can't just have one massive AMC and then put a laser block on the side and call it the combination of the two and think it'll work.
It will work. What will happen is you'll get very, very tiny buff instead of, say, adding the laser block increases your range, right? So you're expecting to take a giant cannon and double its range by adding one block, but that won't happen. What'll happen is it'll take that 1 million, blocks from your cannon and divide it by the 1 block for your laser, and that's the percentage of a distance increase you're gonna get.
Right.
What you're gonna want is to balance out your systems.
You'd have to build another equally sized array to get the best out of it, or in theory.
Well, it doesn't have to be equal. There will be a scale. Say like you want a mid-range cannon, right? You might get more DPS by setting it to be a mid-range bonus instead of a completely, maximum range increase. So there might be incentives for having, a 75-25, but we're just preventing things like what was said earlier, where you add 1 block to a million block system and expect to have a double. It won't double the efficiency that way.
Sorry about that. Had a little issue with my Java for a second.
That's right, it happens.
Yep.
Do you mind if I just ask a quick question that someone poked me in the TeamSpeak?
Sure, go ahead.
Prime wanted to know, will there be med packs to replenish astronaut health?
We're getting to that.
Yep, we'll be...
Pretty sure it's in a later section.
Yep, actually we can go ahead and hit that right now. That
I
sort of
don't
ties in
think
with
it's
weapons.
covered anywhere.
No, it's not.
Yeah, it does sort of tie in with weapons, and I don't think it's on the list, so we'll go over it. Yeah, pretty much. There's items that we plan on adding for astronauts. Tentatively, armor we can add, more weapon types, other utility equipment, things like an astrotech beam that you can hold and use resources to heal each other, a med pack that you can use.
Like
you could go stand on you could go stand on a med bay block and have that heal you up over a period of time.
Excellent, that's perfect.
We plan on having astronaut damage and a way to heal yourself, various ways to heal yourself. So, players who want it at some point may be able to have a complete FPS PvP system.
Yeah.
All right,
Well, it can be done, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, we're gonna hold here just for a second, just simply because
Also,
my stream might
jetpacks.
be stupid.
Oh, really? Hang on.
Oh.
So nobody heard the big jetpack announcement.
I heard it.
So when do you expect the weapon update to come out, and what is the update after that?
We don't really have an ETA on the weapon update. There's a lot of stuff we have to get done, and giving any ETA is really just shooting ourselves in the foot, because then everyone's gonna scream at us when it's not ready in time.
A lot of these questions are sort of covered because everyone's asking them, but I understand the soon trademark, so...
Yeah, unfortunately, it'll happen. That's what it'll be, and it'll happen in a time frame that'll make it worthwhile, so you won't be disappointed in the system, instead of giving it to you halfway finished and just ruining the experience for you.
Yeah.
Works for me.
Afterwards, after that update, there is the quest system. There's fully implementing the fauna system, universe design, better AI, programmable AI, and many other things.
Excellent. All right, well, I think we'll move straight on because it's a little bit ambiguous, that last question. But thanks anyway for the answer. Let's have a look now. Will we have different types of energy providers, i.e. technological research, to have better energy modules, thus allowing for faster or new thrusters?
Yeah, we're working on that. We have some plans, and we'll have to see how things go as we add in new systems like the weapon systems.
Yeah. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about energy providers?
I have no idea what that even
I
means.
know, it's a bit... I know, I
Does
think
it
they might
does it
mean
mean
different
like
types
power
of
blocks?
propulsion. I think they
The
might mean
power
different types of
generators
propulsion.
and the power
but-
tanks are our current energy blocks.
Okay, if it
it's
means
a bit
thrusters,
weird,
then
though.
the directional thrusters would be really cool.
Well, I think that gets addressed in the next question. But at the moment, what this is all about is, if we have power blocks right now, will there be, say, nuclear power, something like that, added for larger ships, etc.? I think that's the main goal of that question.
Well,
Right.
to start, for solar panels, which is something many people asked for as a basic system,
Yeah.
are planned.
Excellent. That's beautiful.
More powerful systems than the generator we have in game right now. I don't know if we want to be adding more power than that. It seems like a good top end system, but we could have low end power types and intermediates. It's possible we could add more powerful regen systems if we need to, and we could add in a bunch of different types of power generation. It's something that we'd like to have. It's more options. It's more customization that the players can have, but we have to fit it into the balance and the workings of the game. Just adding a nuclear reactor because it's cool, but then having it break a bunch of mechanics in the game or ruin the game experience isn't something we want.
But it's nuclear, and that's cool.
Okay, well, moving on to the next question then, unless anyone else has anything to say on that one.
Nope.
He did say that a kind of boost system is also possible. This is outside of the faction point boost that you were talking about.
Okay.
And
I like what people are suggesting there, how nuclear power could have sort of a downside in that they will explode and destroy everything.
you could also have a downside of requiring fuel.
And radiation could slowly remove your health.
If you go too close to it and don't have hull between you and the reactor, you die.
There's lots of options. That's what it comes down to.
Start to mutate.
I like the explosion idea, to be honest. That would be... I mean, it would be a new and interesting way to kill a ship rather than just, shoot the core till it dies. Now, hit the reactor, watch the whole thing blow, take out everything in the sector.
Now, since we're on PvP stuff, I will go ahead and address that. Ship coring is not going to be a function of in the future. Hitting the core won't just destroy the ship.
Nice.
Um,
What will? Sorry if that's a bit forward, but yeah, I'm just curious. Like, if not the core, then mechanics are going to be. Do you have to give a certain percentage?
we can talk about it. I'm just trying to gather my thoughts because this wasn't one of the planned questions.
Yeah.
So I don't want to stumble over myself.
Hey, you went off track, not me. I take no
Oh,
responsibility.
No
sorry.
offense, but you did bring this on yourself a little.
Sorry for going off the script, guys.
It's all right.
Wait, there's
Sorry
a
for
script?
giving you more info.
It's okay. What we're
now,
going to do... Carry on. Sorry.
This I'm just gonna cover the whole damage thing because everyone complains about coring, and this is just a system I'm working on. It's not in the game. We can't promise it'll work or that it will be used, but tentatively, instead of having the ships destroyed when the core gets hit, you will have an amalgamated HP based on the blocks you have in your ship. So adding armor will increase the HP of your ship, right?
Yeah.
When a block gets destroyed, that HP is reduced. Then you can use percentages of your ship's health to have different effects happen, blackouts, brownouts that say at 10%, have a meltdown timer start, things like that. This way, the ball is specifically trying to hit your core, and it's not a giant Achilles heel on your ship.
So
Right.
if a missile hits your ship, it could take out propulsion.
If a missile hits your ship, it's going to take out whatever it hits. What will happen is, say, if your ship gets damaged down to 70%, this is just random numbers, you may have a reduction in energy just ship-wide, or you may have a reduction in your propulsion ship-wide as just an effect, aside from what they've actually hit with their weapons. It's something to point out is your HP will be set when you build it. When you leave build mode, or when you leave, wherever you built your ship, say if you build it at a dock, it won't change. So if you modify your ship in a battle, right, if you think that you can just add 500, hull blocks onto the backside of your ship just to give yourself some bonus hit points because you're getting low, it won't work. You won't get extra hit points during a battle like that. So you go into a fight, you have 1,000 hit points, you're going to have 1,000 hit points during that fight.
Right.
And any kind of patch job would basically be just that, a patch job to, say, cover up a critical system that got exposed in the course of battle.
Because I like arcade, and the way it's all blocks makes sense. It's kind of cool. It's like a 3D game of Space Blocker. Do you remember that one? Arcadia or whatever it's called. Arcania. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next question. We covered thruster overhaul.
We
Not
have
yet, a previous
that.
work into that.
Okay,
we
so
did in a previous video.
thruster
however.
overhaul, directional bonus by design. Yeah, with varied agility. That's what's on my list.
Sorry. Jobs will only be repairing, not adding. So, like, you could use an Astrotech beam, and that can repair blocks that were already placed on your ship. If you add new blocks, what that is going to do, it's going to reset your HP mark, and if you take damage, that's going to essentially lower your HP mark without adding any significant amount, right? So you may be at 100% HP again, but your HP is still 500 points less than it was when you started. So you're not really improving things by patching. What you're going to want to do is use Astrotech beams to repair your ship. And with this HP system, Astrotech beams will be able to repair missing blocks and damaged blocks because the game will be tracking that.
Okay, that sounds really cool.
Sorry, I'm just bringing stuff before we get to the next question. The thruster overhaul. Again, yes, we're working on a plan for that. I believe this is one that we've talked about previously, and I have to put in another, cautionary note. These are plans; they're not guaranteed to be in the game yet. For thrusters, I was looking at having the directional settings. You guys remember that, right?
Yeah.
You have your 3 ship axes, X, Y, and Z. You have plus and minus in each direction. So you have 6 different directions that you can split your thrust into. So you'll put the thruster blocks on your ship. They'll be omnidirectional, right? So there's no putting left-facing thrusters or right-facing thrusters. They can push you in any direction because they're special like that.
Yep.
They're high-tech. They're not rockets. You can add decorative blocks will emulate rockets, something we've discussed adding in. Just like the weapon systems will have graphic effects, we can add in the same type of blocks that just have graphic effects for engines or lightning bolts or whatever kind of cool stuff you want to add to your ship. But back to the thrusters, you'll have all the thrusters on your ship combined to a total, like, newtons, right? The amount of thrust it can do, just like it does now. It can push you in any direction, just like it does now. The difference is you have to preset what directions your percentage of thrust will go to. So you have, let's say you have 100% of your thrust. You can put 50% towards your forward. You can put 10% towards every other direction, right? This way you can move in every direction. And
is this calculated from the core position? Out of interest. Or from the center of an array?
It could be done from the center of an array. As is, it would be done from the core position. There's an option to add, to move that location. I don't know how hard that would be. Yeah. So I can't really answer that.
A bit like with power, you obviously the center of an array it's just the center, isn't it?
Yeah. Now, what it'll be is when you're building your ship, you will have an option to set like the percentages of your thrust, right?
Yep.
So you can split your thrust up. You put 50% forward and 10% in every other direction. What that will do is 50% of the newtons that you get from your thrust will apply to your forward direction, and only to your forward direction. So say, how to put it? Like the ratios everyone goes for right now, right?
Yeah, you just go for power to weight.
If your total thrust ratio is 2 times what your mass is, right? So you have 2-to-1 ratio. With this new percentage system and using the 50% forward, like I just said, that would get to 1 for all your other directions. The other half of this system is that the same percentage points that you're assigning your thrust with will also assign a percentage of the maximum server speed. Percentage into their forward thrust or whatever direction they choose to go with. Have the agility while at the same time this system allows players to do whatever they want with it. So we're not directly crippling anyone, but we're adding in side effects for going with certain setups.
Right. Awesome. Does anybody want to say anything about that? Anybody? Questions?
It's pretty cool.
It is a very novel concept. I'm mulling over how it can be applied to different ship types and designs in my head right now.
I like how it's going to actually differentiate between capitals and fighters. Because at the moment, there's not much differentiation whatsoever.
Yeah.
This is also tied in with several other systems like acceleration in missiles, acceleration in ships. Then, so it's not just you accelerate on a linear curve. It might get harder and harder to go faster as you get closer to the maximum server speed. Just little things we can tweak here and there to make it all work better. Also, whether as a separate percentage or sharing the same thrust percentage again, there's the option to do the same thing with your turn rates to give RCS specs, basically boosting the turn rate of a fighter in a particular direction or of a capitalist ship in a particular direction. If we tie that in with our thrust settings, that allows you to increase the turn rate of a large ship at the detriment of losing thrust and maximum speed in its directional movements. So
Awesome.
It's a trade-off. It
doesn't mean there's more meta to the block than just slapping down a load anywhere. I kind of like that, and a lot of people are asking for some kind of directional thrust, and this sort of caters to both arguments.
Yes, this lets you slap them down anywhere, but then you have to decide how they're being used. So build-wise, it's simple. Setting it up after you build it, there's some complexity there.
There are games which do have that realistic flight space model, but I think sometimes that's restrictive in the creativity because it just doesn't fly straight. You know what I mean?
It's also restrictive in the scalability because doing the math to calculate the weight and thrust amounts at different points in the ship is just adding even more for the server to track. That's more information being moved around. That's more lag. So we're emulating it, hopefully in a fun manner.
I have an idea. You know how when you use the C and V keys to connect computers to weapon blocks and all that?
Yeah.
What if you connected an engine group to a lava block group or an ice block group to make it act as the actual thrust detail? Like you connect it and then that gets brighter with applied thrust.
Oh, so you mean the thruster block when it's in use would activate the R function? You know, so whatever you attack with. I think I get what he means. So
Yes.
like,
No,
so you could
do
attach
you
a
remember-
cosmetic block to trigger.
yeah, like you actually use it as okay. You know, with the thruster effects we have now, they get brighter the faster you go.
When they will
If you connect a thruster group to an ice block group,
it'll
the
flicker
ice
as
block
well.
group starts at no light output, but then gets brighter and brighter the faster you go.
Or just flickers on and off. That would still work for me. But yeah.
The variable lighting would be a graphical effect from the potential decorative blocks that I mentioned.
Yeah.
Having just the ice crystals or the lava or just regular lights turn on and off based on your thrust is the group lighting controlled by
Connection lost. Connected.
Yeah,
You'll be
It's
able
like
to
that
have fun
times
implementing
schema.
them soon. Trademark.
I had not considered using, lights that turn on and off, whether you're thrusting. But with what we're adding,
Seriously,
that
I've been
will be a
wanting this for months
possibility.
now.
You will be able to do it. So that's a possibility. So I think we'll probably move on to the next section now. So, oh, sorry, Ryben, you carry on. Yes, we can hear you, mate. Okay. I know, we were wondering, we were missing you, bro. Oh man. Well, are we ready to move on to the next section? Do you reckon that's a good one?
I'll throw in one thing just because I
Yep.
saw someone mention that they were talking about Afterburner.
Yeah.
By tweaking the thrust setting so that you're at a percentage, it is possible to add an afterburner effect with a high cost that would push you up to 100% thrust in a particular
Nice.
direction.
Yeah.
We
nice.
would make that a percentage of a percentage basis. So like if you only have 1% thrust to the left, you can't just kick on an afterburner and suddenly go 100% to the left. You might get a 100% increase of whatever percentage you have. So you would get up to 2% going to the left. That sort of thing. So like if you have 50% going forward and you kick on the afterburners, you might suck up 3 times the power you normally would, but you could double your forward speed.
Is that going to be an active block in the hotbar? Is that, or is it just a passive mechanic that will be eventually
I honestly have
introduced?
no idea what we're going to do yet.
Okay, no worries. All right. So
This is just me throwing out ideas in response to
people in the chat. That's cool. I'm
questions, yeah.
seeing the stuff in the chat, but a lot of it is like that. A lot of it gets answered by other people in the chat. So, oh yeah, Omni likes your idea, by the way, Apex.
I know, I'm seeing it in the chat. Hooray for me!